It's raining. Ugh. I'm going to keep this up if you don't mind. Shed some of the water. I'm under the trees, but there we are. Right, you'll notice cameras everywhere. On there. This one here, microphones everywhere. It's been a while since I've done one of these. Normally I just carry one or two, and you follow me fishing. But I thought I'd do a proper one today, as I've got, crikey, half the day's gone already because I've been wasting it fly fishing for grills. Because, believe it or not, it's late summer, early autumn on the River Wye in Herefordshire. It's raining, as you could probably see, which is probably a good thing. The river's unusually high because we're just coming up to what is permitted under the bylaws for the River Wye in England to use maggots from the middle of September, the 17th, but I've got permission today. It's a bit early, but I got permission to actually use some in feeders to show you. So you can watch this and then maybe have a go when it's properly legal. Anyway, it might be quite a long video, especially if we have to wait a while for me to catch something. But there we are. Anyway, late summer, autumn is one of the best times to maggot fish on this river. Simply because you've got some really good dace here. They have been picking them up on pellets when they're after the barbel, and roach over £1. They've had a couple just in the last week. Those fish are here now. We haven't got the grayling yet. They tend to come in when the water temperature goes down a bit more. Mind you, it was a bit chilly this morning, wading in it. Certainly, I'd say a good 8 to 10 degrees cooler than it was 3 weeks ago when it was really warm then. Over 20 degrees, and we stopped the salmon fishing. Anyway, so we wait for it's a bit early for the grayling, but they will turn up soon. They will turn up soon. So September, October, late September, October, and starting into November, depending on the weather conditions, obviously, but as long as the temperature drops slowly, we're going to get some really good fishing, and maggot is a fantastic bait for that. Oh, why, I hear you ask, are maggots not allowed until the middle of September? Well, it's supposed to prevent people accidentally hooking salmon parr, which are the little baby salmon with the stripes on. They look a bit like perch, but without the spines. A trout with like fingerprints down the side. That's a salmon parr. It's a juvenile salmon that hatched earlier this year, and it hasn't turned silver and headed out to sea yet. Anyway, they were worried about it. Mind you, there's so few of those left in the river now. I can't see it being a problem. Anyway, so maggot feeder, brilliant. So there are various different types of maggot feeder, and I just happen to have some here in my drinks pocket. This is one of the more regular ones. It's a simple plastic thing, and it's got a swivel on the top, and it's got a weight on the bottom, and you thread the line through there. You put a stop or something on the line, then you have a bit of more line, and then you have a hook, and then. But to fill these up, it's quite tricky, especially when you've got wet or cold hands. This is like an elasticated top. You've got to pull the top off there, and it doesn't hold much. You know, and this has got huge holes in it, and that'll empty itself in about 20 seconds in a river like this. And the other problem is there are millions of minnows and dace and all that sort of stuff, and they'll eat that lot in, well, by the time it's come out of the plastic, it'd be gone, empty. So that's not really suitable for this river. Not until much later in the year when you don't want to overfeed the swim. This is a similar one, which has got a weight on the back, but again, you have to pull the top off. You know, awkward. The good thing with this one is you can change those weights, make them heavier or lighter depending on the flow. But again, it's a bit small. Okay, so we go for something bigger. Here's something bigger. Now that'll hold a decent quantity of maggots. It's got smaller holes, so they'll come out slower. And it's got a decent weight. And you do need anything less than, I mean, today it's not flowing that much, but anything less than 1.5 ounces, it's just going to swing round in the flow, and you're going to be fishing sort of immediately below yourself. You can't chuck it in the middle and hold bottom. But that's a good one. But again, the line goes through the top here, and that sort of dangles off your line. So when you're retrieving it, this is all sort of flopping. They're good, but not ideal. So which one am I going to use? I'm going to use one of these, which I've now lost. It's come on up from my rod. And this is quite heavy. This is a 2.5 ounce, because I want it to sit where I put it. Okay. Right, now this one, very similar to the last one I showed you, but, sorry, knock one of the cameras over. This one, the line threads through this tube and right through the feeder and comes out the bottom here, and it has a swivel. So the main line is tied to the swivel. Through there, it's tied to the swivel. Then you have your hook length and then your hook below it. And this one, to fill it up, you just pull the top off like that, see? It slides off completely. So you can fill that up easily. Don't know if you saw that. Slides up, you fill it up, you slide the lid back down, pop it on, and cast it out. Good weight, holds bottom, etc, etc. Right, so that's the feeder we're going to use. It's also got decent size, but this does mean you need a lot of bait. I got 3 pints, and I'll be lucky if they last more than, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 hours. But after 4 or 5 hours in this weather, you may want to give up and go home anyway, unless you're having a really good time. But I have got some backup bait just in case. I've got some sweet corn, and I got some luncheon meat for the bigger fish. Now, question, what are we fishing for? Well, as I said, there's some really good roach in here, and there's some really good dace, but they're also chub, and they're a barbel. So we've got to allow for the possibility of hooking those as well. We're not bothered what we catch, we just maggot feeder fishing. So we're going to catch all sorts. And with that in mind, this feeder is normally what they would class as a bolt rig, which means that it takes a large fish, has to pull, there's normally a little plastic stopper in there, and it has to pull that out before you register as a bite. Now, we've got a lot of small fish here, and I don't want any small fish hanging on my maggoty hook for any length of time, for one simple reason. This river is full of pike, and I don't want pike grabbing fish that are struggling on the end of my line. If I've got a fish on this hook, I want to know it, and I want to bring it in straight away so I can look at it and go, oh, hello, pretty fish. If it's a good one, I'll weigh it, because I've got an unhooking mat, weigh sling and scales over there. I'll weigh it and I'll put it back, neat and tidy. So, the gear. And the gear is quite hefty, to be honest. We're starting off, I'm using a John Wilson, Rovex John Wilson. They've started making these again now in the past couple of years. This is the barbel quiver. Line rating 5 to 11 pounds. Well, I've got 20 pound main line on here, and I'll tell you why in a minute. And it could be anything from 11 to 13 foot. I think this is the 12-foot version, and I've got the quiver tip on the top, but quite a strong quiver tip. Ooh, hang on, bait runner's still on. Get that off. Talking of bait runners, we'll now mention the reel. Right, this is a Shimano 6000. It's the DL 6000 RB. Bait runner. Got to be a bait runner. Why? We're only fishing for days. Ah, well, I'll tell you why. And why we're using such a heavy reel, heavy rod, heavy main line. And that main line, as I said, is threaded down through the feeder to the swivel that's on the, so just hooking my waders, goes down to the swivel, which for the purposes of today, to make sure I get small bites indicating, I have turned around, and I'll get a bit closer so you can see properly. And I'll probably fall over backwards into the river because I'm on a bit of a backward slope here, just to make life easier for you, see? Right, that swivel. Normally, this little end would go in the bottom of the feeder with a plastic bung. So a big fish, which would be on this side, would pull the bung out of the feeder and then you get the bite registering. Well, I've turned it round because there's a nice big ring there, and that, excuse me, that big ring stops it going up inside the feeder. So you see, little fish can pull that and I'll register the bite straight away. Okay, so anyway, God, blimey. Hook length. The hook length is 12-pound breaking strain, and there's about 400 mil of that, 40 centimetres, or just over a foot, and I don't want it too long, even though the flow in this river is quite pacey, and the bait is going to get washed beyond the hook bait. It should leave a trickling trail down the riverbed, which fish will then follow up and find the hook bait, rather than sitting in still water where the maggots come out and yeah. Now, if we were pellet feeding, we could have anything up to 4 feet of line, but we don't want small fish picking this up, getting it in their mouths, getting it down their throats and whatever. We want instant bite detection, right? So, what's on the end? I'm using a size 14 wide gape barbless. Very strong hook. I think they're Drennan. Anyway, needs to be strong hooks. Again, why? Why all the heavy kit when we're only fishing for roach and dace and stuff like that? Well, that's because the chub in here average 3.5 pound. I wouldn't be surprised if we had fish 5.5 pound chub today. What else? Oh yes, we got barbel to over 10 pounds. The pool I'm fishing, which is a bit of a back eddy with the main flow going in the middle of it, and then it back eddy, ooh, hello ducks, has got river carp in it. I mean, wild commons, they're 20 pound. 20 pound carp in a river this size. You need this sort of kit just to hang on. Otherwise, they just make a fool of you. Anyway. Oh, and the other thing, as I mentioned, there's pike in here. And how big are the pike? 30 pound. Look at my video. And that was caught just down there, that side of me. About 100 yards that way. 30 pound big pike. Okay? So, I think that's the gear. Oh, landing nets. Little tiny things I'll bring to hand. No worry about wetting your hands to handle the fish so you don't hurt them, because I'm sopping wet already. Fish up to about 4 or 5 pound, I can land in this. I've landed double figure barbel in this. Amazing. Always handy, especially if I wade a bit, because I might get the float rod out later. Anyway, it's a bit by the by. But the main landing net for today is this. See? Big. Big. Very big. You don't need a carp net, because once you put them in this water with this sort of flow, they're going to pull you in off the bank. But you need something this big. I'm going to turn the chair around, put some maggots in the feeder. I'm going to wang it out just off the middle of the river. Well, I'll show you in a minute. In fact, I'll show you now. If I can get out of this chair. There we go. Right, come with me. Right then, this is where I'm going to be sat. Right here. I'm not going to put it out there, because that's flowing, that's quite a pace on that. And the depth out there is, with this level, I have waded down there in the summer. That's going to be 4 to 6 foot in the middle of that. And if I cast even a 2-ounce lead out there, it's probably going to get dragged round. So I'm not going to bother doing that, because then you just get an arc in your line, which rubbish can build up on, and you get more and more of that as the year goes on, as the winter comes in, and you get leaves coming off and it catches. So I prefer to cast downs at about a 45-degree angle out into the river. So I'm going to be casting, I'll use my little finger to digit to point. I'm not going to cast there. Well, I might cast there because that's where the flow is. But as you come round to here, I don't know if you can see that this area here is a back eddy, and it's very slowly rotating round this bit here. So I want to cast right on the edge of where the flow comes in and goes down the side of that swirling vortex. Very slowly swirling, but it is a vortex nonetheless. Because if you imagine you've got food items for fish coming down a river, slowly sinking or being bounced along the bottom, and they're going to get pulled into there, and that's going to become a feeding station, isn't it? So my side of middle, where there's a less flow, and the idea is the maggots will then come out of the feeder and be washed slightly downstream, but then be held in the edge of the flow. That's the plan anyway. God knows if it's going to work. Anyway, there we are. So I'm going to set up my little campsite here, and if it gets any deeper, I'm going to have to retreat up there. Anyway, I did warn you this is going to be a fairly lengthy video. I just hope that camera lens is clean. It doesn't look very clean to me. I'll give you a wipe, shall I? Hold tight. Better? Well, God knows. Anyway, I've got 2 cameras on the bank. I've got one on the chest here. And hopefully we'll catch something and you can see it. All right, back in a minute. Right, we're going to start off the session with just a couple of maggot on the hook. 2 or 3, I don't know which yet. I think I'll go for 3 to start. I got red maggot simply because that's all they had in the bait shop. Because they get fresh bait in on a Thursday. I went in on a Wednesday, and of course I did. But there we are, never mind. Okay. So fill the feeder up. And this is why we need quite a bit of bait today, because they're going to come out of there fairly rapido. Here we go. And we're going to put this under our chair. Keep the wood. Well, wood if there weren't rocks in the way. There we go. I'm going to wang that out. Oh, God, that's a good bite. And that's a fish on. Yeah, that's a fish on. It's pulling quite well too. Quite shallow just here, so we're going to have to be careful. Ooh, that feels like a chub. What have we got? Let's stand up. Get a net on this one. I'll use a small net for this one, I think. Paddle out like that, and in. And what have we got? We got ourselves a little chub. Hello, little chub. Come and say hello to the camera. Put that down there. Now, for unhooking, we have various things. We have disgorgers, but I also have my usual go-to method, which are forceps. And there we have one rather small but very welcome chub. Another good thing about waders, it's great for returning fish like that. And away. Lovely. Right, let's get that out there again. Boom, a bit further this time, but right on the edge of that nice little pool there. You think how big a splash that's making, and it's still, fish are still there, don't seem worried about it at all. Right, word of caution, if you ever leave your rod for any length of time, I mean even turn your back on it. Now, the bylaws, the fishing regulations state you should never be more than 3 meters away from your rod. That is a legal requirement now. But even being 1 meter away from your rod, put the bait runner on. I've seen too many people lose their rods into this river, normally barbel, because that could just go straight down like that and pull it straight off the rest and into the river and be gone. Because if you haven't got the bait runner on, say goodbye to it. Seems to be something on there. Again, it's not huge, but it's pulling back slightly. Either that or it's a lump of weed. I don't know, something wriggling. That is definitely not big. And we're going to lift this one in, and it's another small chub. There we are. Gently to my wet hand. And we unhook that one, and oh, go on, off you go. It's that way. That's it. A bit further out this one, but look at it. That was a pretty poor cast, that one, to be honest. But still, it'll do. Oh, there we go. Oh, yeah, we got it. Luckily, very luckily. Shouldn't have done. So we're very slow on that. There it comes. What have we got this time? Another little chub. Come on. Is that a chub? That's not a chub. Oh, going to need the disgorger for this one. Oh, there we are. Okay, we got you. Steady, steady. Right, I'm going to put this in the net. Give it a rest. Here we are. I'm going to bring him over and show him to you. Because this is not a chub. Right. Have a bit of a rest. Bring it to this camera. Very gently. Hold him up like that. Eh? I reckon that's a dace. Good dace. Hey, bye now. Wow, that was good, wasn't it? Nice fish. That's what it's all about. Right. Oh. Right, I'm just going to show you these while I've got this one out. Got two of these for different size hooks. Got the orange one, which is, I tend to use this for size 14s up, you know, size 14 and bigger. And then from 14 down, I use this blue one. They've probably got things on them, but it says ringers. Ringers. Anyway, don't know where I got them. I've had them for donkey's years. But they just sit in there. And then I got forceps. I prefer to use forceps. You can get further down. You actually see what you're doing while you're doing it, so to speak. But anyway, right. Now we got that fish further out in the quicker moving water, and it was a completely different sort of bite. More of a rattly bite. Out in the fairly quick water again. That's odd. Oh, got a bite straight away. Only a nibbler though. Yeah, I'm going to sit down. Oh. There we go. There we go. This rain's getting quite heavy now. What was that? Oh, took a pull. Yeah, it's another good thing about waders is you can just sit in a sopping wet chair and it doesn't make any difference whatsoever. These are only waist waders, they're not chest waders or anything. What have we got this time? Let's have a look. Oh, it looks like it. That's another dace by the look of it. Right, we're going to net this one, I think. If we can get to it. Oh, cheeky little sod. There we are, got you at last. Yes, another dace. Another little dace. This one's only just lip hooked. Okay, get up near the water in case we drop him. There. Beautiful fish. Now he's got a scar on his side. Looks like he's been grabbed by something. Right, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pop him back in the landing net. Like that. See, I'm kneeling in the river now, and it doesn't matter. Because put these waders on, you don't get wet. Right, let him get his breath back. I'm going to put this other camera on. You have a decent look at this one. Right, now we're recording. Have a little look at this fishy, which I'm pretty sure is a dace. I've caught so few of the flipping things. There. Isn't that gorgeous? Absolutely beautiful. You see that mark on the side? That looks like it's been grabbed by a fish-eating bird at some time. Anyway. Nice to see. Right, we're going to let you go now. Just drop the net like that. And away! Gone. And finally we catch, oh, something new, or something different. But only just. Let's just put him in there for a second, and we'll bring him over. Right, what have we got now? It's a little bleak, shiny little bleak. We don't want you, unless you're going to be, oh, a couple of ounces. Off you go. Shoot. Bye bye. I always tell bleak they've got like an upturned mouth. Don't know if you saw that, upturned mouth. Well, that's obviously the small stuff that's been nobbling us all this time. Now, if we went down to maybe a size 16 or even 18, we'd have dozens of those. But if a bigger chub or a barbel comes into the swim, our chances of holding that on a size 16 or 18 are pretty remote, unfortunately. So, at the loss of catching dozens of bleak, we'll hope for a barbel. And when you think that one barbel will probably equal, hello, 50 or 60 bleak, I know which I'd rather catch, because we're not match angling, we're pleasure angling. Yay! So it was nice to see that one. But if the rest would have just disappeared, I wouldn't be broken-hearted. See? Oh, no, that's not a bleak. Oh, have we got it? I'm not sure if we have. No. We only had that for a moment, but that was something a little more substantial than a bleak. Most definitely. Because that did not want to move. Even once we've run out of maggot, we'll continue to fish over that area, because as these little fry down here have proven, even though all the bait is gone, the scent is still there to attract them. You see that? I hope you can see that. And they're all feeding right there where I've been rinsing my hands. You see, they're not anywhere else up the edge, just here. Isn't that amazing? So all we'll do is we'll fish sweet corn, or better still luncheon meat, over the top of that, and that was bleak again, hitting that on the way down. Oh well. Yes, so we'll fish other baits over, and just to prove a point, yeah, we'll fish other bigger baits over the top of the, where we had the maggots. Right, well, that's 2 bleak we've had now. Now there are other people fishing here today, about 10 or a dozen, but I could see one car up there about 500 yards away, 500 metres. And I know there's another one down there about 200 metres. So even if you've got 10 or a dozen people fishing here, over 2 miles of river, I mean, you wouldn't want to walk to go and ask them how they're getting on. Oh, that was a good take. And it's pulling back. Oh, proper little wriggler, this one. I suspect it's a dace. Oh, it's just pulling quite well. Oh, yeah. Big swirl on the surface, either that or a pike just went for it. What have we got? What have we got? That's another nice dace. Do we lift? Yeah, we'll risk lift. Oh, that's a good fish. Yeah, where was I? Oh, yes. Even though when we run out of maggot, we will continue to feed fish over that area we've been feeding with luncheon meat and all sweet corn. Right then, let's try a single grain of sweet corn, because we haven't found any roach yet, have we? Where's a nice little one? That's a bit big. Trust me to get a tin of big bits of sweet corn. Here we are. One piece of sweet corn. Oh, that's not a good place to be, is it, Swan? Go on, bugger off. Cast beyond you then. Right out in the middle. There we go. I don't swim into the line, you knobhead. Oh, got a bite already. And that feels like a fish. Well, look at that. Maggot feeder with sweet corn, single grain of sweet corn, on the hook. And let's see what we've got. What do you reckon? Chub? Yeah, I think you're probably right. Is it? No, it's a dace. Well, there you go. I think it is. Is it? I can't see. Let's get it in the net and find out. Oh, well, I would if it come back. Come on. There we go. Right. Let's get that hook out. Right. Let's have a little look, see what we got. So, this is maggot feeder, but with a single grain of sweet corn on the hook. And look at that. What a beauty. Ooh, careful. That's why I was holding it over the net in case I dropped it. Oh, look out, fry coming through. And away. Brilliant. What should we try next? Piece of luncheon meat. It's fun. I'm enjoying this. Yeah, experimentation. What have we got here? What have we got here? It's a little chub. And a little chub. Oh, keep still. No. Here. And away. That was a small one. It just goes to show that this sweet corn with the maggot feeder is working. And we're not getting the annoying little bites. But it makes you wonder whether we'd be just as well with an open-ended feeder with sweet corn in it, or closed-end feed. I don't know. But we'll keep this up for now, it's just as an experiment. Just as an experiment. But at least we've hooked it this time. That small. Trouble is we're now bringing it straight through that deep back eddy. So we're going to get hit by a pike any second. Here we go. What have we got this time? It feels like a chub. It's thrashing about. What have we got? No, it's a dace. Another nice dace. Look at that. Oh. Right, well, we've only been fishing for 4 hours now. We've had a few, haven't we? And even though it's not even 4:30, it's getting rather dark. And I know these cameras don't like it when the light levels get too low. In fact, it might even be too low for you to see now. But anyway, I think there's some heavy rain coming. So the sensible people would say, well, that's it, I've had a good day, I'm off now. But I've still got plenty of bait left. And as I said, he can't eat it all. Anyway, as I said, there's a good... I've been feeding this swim all afternoon now, so it seems a shame to leave it. And I've got bacon grill and sweet corn, which, okay, it's not maggot feeder, but if you're using a maggot feeder and you've been using it for several hours and you've put 1, 2 or 3 pints of maggots into that swim, you know, even when you've run out of the maggots, there's no reason why you can't just take the feeder off, put a simple 1/2 ounce or 1 ounce lead on there, and put some bigger baits in over that area, because, you know, as it's getting dark now, the barbel will probably be coming in. So I'm going to carry on and use it. Great. Thunder. Can you hear it? Yeah. Anyway, thunder over there. So if we do get lightning, I'll be bringing this rod down because it's carbon. Although I am in under the bushes, we should be all right. I mean, it shouldn't get dark till about 7:30, 8 o'clock, which is another 3-4 hours yet. But anyway, the barbel could come on to feed now, especially with the pressure of this storm coming in and the light levels dropping so rapidly. So I'm going to carry on with the maggots until I run out of those. Then I'm going to switch this, probably the luncheon meat, and pick up a load of eels. Anyway, stay with me as long as you can or you want to. I'll edit out all the boring bits, which I haven't done. Well, I probably have. Anyway, I'm going to carry on, although maybe I shouldn't. So we'll see how it goes. Yes! What? Oh, here comes the rain. I might stand up for this bit. Nah. All right. Well, hang on. Well, welcome back. Welcome back after the storm. Whew, that really did come down, didn't it? What have you missed? Well, while it was chucking it down, I thought I'd just keep out the way. Brought the rod in just in case. But I took the opportunity to put a size 6 Polytrax hook on in place of the size 14, and I loaded up with About 20-30 maggots, just kept piling them on there. Filled the feeder right up, lobbed it out. And what did you miss? A 3 pound, 7 ounce eel. Monster. Absolute monster. Ripping bite as well, because, oh, that's more like a chub. Excuse me, I've just got to... That's more like it. It's like a chub. Not necessarily. It's a big eel, but look at it. Right. This one. In you go. Not as big as the last one. Any stretch of the imagination. There you go. And away. I'll put this out there. And I suppose you could say that is technically our last maggot feeder of maggots. So if you've seen enough, thanks for watching. We've had some fun. We've had 4 species, including that eel that you haven't seen. So that's chub, dace, bleak and eel. We could have picked up barbel, we could have picked up perch. There's some really big perch in this river, and we could have picked up, yeah, so there's plenty out there. And of course the grayling haven't turned up yet. They'll be here when it gets a bit colder. But anyway, it's been a fun day. It's been a long video. I did say it was going to be a long one, but then some people like that sort of thing. They'll sit and watch, 45 minutes to an hour. So I don't know how long this one's going to be, but it could be close to that. But it's been a good day. I'm going to carry on fishing, as I said. I'm going to fish with luncheon meat over the top of where I've been putting the maggot, because obviously that eel came in because of them, and the bigger chub and the barbel might do the same. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it. I'm a bit damp, but there we are. And great. Hope you've enjoyed it, and you've seen what the possibilities are. Anyway, see you next time. Come on, fish. Let's just see that rod. Just for the closing part of the video. Let's just see that go straight over and hold. And I'll lift into something glorious. Like a carp. You never know. That's it, I'll shut up now. Yes, something on. Oh, and something pulling hard.